Regional forms are now commonplace in Pokemon games, to the point where every generation is now expected to have unique forms of previous Pokemon. But the ancestor of regional forms was introduced in Pokemon Gold and Silver, with the addition of Unown. Because Unown are shaped like letters, there are 26 unique Unown forms, and they all appeared for the first time in the Ruins of Alph in Gen 2. The Ruins of Alph are accessible early on in Gold and Silver, right after Violet City, the first big town in the game, and are likely named after the alphabet. There are two entrances, to the north and the east. Considering there is no difference between entrances and they are both close to one another anyway, the goal was clearly to make the ruins hard to miss for the player. And it works. Anyone playing Gen 2 will most likely have entered the Ruins of Alph at least once, even by mistake. Inside the ruins, you find a research lab, a main hall, and 4 unique chambers. At first, the main hall is devoid of any Pokemon encounters, but as you solve puzzles contained in each of the chambers, you fall back into the main hall with new Unowns added to the pool of obtainable Pokemon. The Northeast Chamber contains a Kabuto puzzle and unlocks Unowns from A to K, the Southwest Chamber, an Ammonite and the letters L to R, the Southeast Chamber, an Aerodactyl and the letters S to W, and the West Chamber, a Ho-Oh and the letters X, Y, and Z. The Pokemon represented are all fossils, except for Ho-Oh, reinforcing the idea that the Ruins of Alph date back to a time long ago. Now, while both eastern chambers are accessible from the ruins themselves, with the south one requiring the use of the HM Surf, both western chambers are only accessible via an underground passage in Union Cave. This passage also requires to have Surf, with the HM Strength being needed to access the west chamber as well. Interestingly, there is a patch of tall grass in front of the west chamber. This tall grass is the only place to encounter both Natu and Smeargle in Gen 2. But what is this Unown Dex I am talking about? Well, once you have caught 3 different types of Unowns, a scientist waits for you outside the main hall and upgrades your Pokédex to add the Unown Mode expansion that keeps track of the different forms caught. There are 2 defining features to this mode. First, every Unown letter has a word attached to it. Second, they show up in the order in which they are caught, not alphabetical. Does that sound silly to you? Because it sounds silly to me. Thankfully, your Pokégear can tune to a special radio channel, only accessible inside the ruins. Soothing and relaxing. This music can accompany you through your chase for every Unown. Did you know, in Gen 2, the form of an Unown is dependent on its individual values? This means once you have solved every puzzle, you have a 3.9% chance to encounter any form, except for Z, with 2.3%. Also, since the probability of a Pokemon being shiny is also determined by Pokemon's IVs in Gen 2, the only Unown forms that can be shiny are, funnily enough, the I and the V. Note that this is purely coincidental. Now for the big question. What happens once you complete the Unown Dex, once you have obtained every single Unown form? You can, print them. And that's it. Yup. And if you don't have a Game Boy printer, well, bummer. Really, completing the Unown Dex feels more like a punishment than a reward. Not only does the Unown Mode not display the completed Dex in a compelling way, let me fix that real quick, done. But if you are, like me, crazy enough to catch every single Pokemon on top of that, you will run out of space. In Gen 2, you have access to 14 boxes, which can contain 20 Pokemon each, for 280 total capacity. Getting all the Pokemon means 251 plus the 25 extra forms of Unown. 4. We have 4 extra slots. It could be worse. The Japanese version only has 270 total capacity. The Ruins of Alph in Gold and Silver feel unfinished. There is the setup for an interesting plotline, a place that begs to start a subquest, but nothing happens in it, and that is a shame. The developers must have thought so as well, as one of the additions prominently featured in the upgraded Crystal version are the Unown. You can see them telepathically communicating with Suicune, and look all cool and stuff. Yeah, that's just for show. There is nothing in-game between Suicune and Unowns. There is an addition to the Ruins of Alph though, a fledgling start to the Unown subplot. Each chamber now has, on top of the image puzzle, an extra word written on the back wall, giving you a hint about a specific action you need to perform. For the chamber with the word escape, you need to use an escape rope. For water, you must have a water stone. For light, you must use the HM flash. And for Ho-Oh, you must have Ho-Oh in your party. Once the unique action executed, the back wall opens, giving you access to an extra room containing items and a hole leading to another room with a sentence written in Unowns. These 4 sentences tell the tale of an ancient civilization worshipping Pokemon. There is mention of a Pokemon statue outside, but the only statues remaining are the ones inside the ruins. And that's it for the additions. It is depressingly little, but I really enjoy the back wall puzzles. They are so interesting and unique. I can't think of any other area in Pokemon that asks the player to think outside the box and use items and moves not for their primary purpose. It's really cool. Oh, and the design of the W was changed in Crystal. Now we're done with the additions. But what about the remakes? Since Heart Gold and Soul Silver are based on the Crystal version of Gen 2, the backwall puzzles and messages were added to Gen 4 as well. The sentences were changed though. And to be honest, they are significantly worse. They sound like bad Japanese translations. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Regardless, we don't learn anything new. But there is more to the Ruins of Alph in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. First, the Unown Mode is changed to the Unknown Report, a key item given by a researcher once you solve one chamber puzzle. It serves the same purpose as the Unown Mode, with the difference that the word for A is now anger instead of angry, unknowns are listed alphabetically, and catching unknowns unlock researcher notes. There is a bit more information there, and it is a nice way to reward the player while they are completing their Unown Dex. Second, the Northeast Chamber unlocks unknowns from A to J, allowing the West Chamber to unlock 4 unknowns instead of 3 previously. Also, you may have noticed we are missing the question mark and exclamation point unknowns. Those were added in Gen 3. Gen 4 kept them, and once you have caught all 26 other forms, you can encounter the 2 extra ones in the added main hall entrance. Finally, if you enter the ruins with an Arceus, it will trigger an event where you get teleported to the Sinjoh Ruins. Since those ruins show a blend of the cultures of both Sinnoh and Johto, it was likely built by the same civilization that made the Ruins of Alph. This is all we learn, but we also get the weirdest cutscene in Pokemon ever. This whole event is weird. I absolutely love it! And that's it for the mysteries surrounding the Ruins of Alph and Unowns. I am personally disappointed there is not more, but this place is exactly how Pokemon stories work. It barely gives enough information to have a subplot and stops, leaving players unsatisfied and forced to come up with their own crazy theories. At least the ruins got small refinements with time. with the Hard Gold Soul Silver version being the best. Completing the Unown Dex provides a nice little extra quest and a small stop in a bigger journey. Personally, I caught all the Unowns on stream while going for a living dex. If you want to know more about it, I have a playlist in the video description. Also, a lot of thanks to the patrons who support the content on this channel. We are almost the same number as Unowns now. Thank you very much for your time, I hope you have learned a thing or two, and I wish you a wonderful day.